Oh. All right. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us again on this wonderful Tuesday evening. I am joined here by my great colleague, Iris Kikuchi from Bluefront, and all the way from Stuttgart, Germany, Priyanka. Hi there.
Hello.
Well, we've got an amazing talk for you planned tonight on Devtools. But first, I would like to give the opportunity to Iris to maybe introduce her a little bit and tell something more about Bluefront, as Adesso has joined forces with Blue4T Code Squad and Bluefront recently. So I'll leave it up to you, Iris.
Yes, so welcome everybody. As David just told us, Bluefront is one of the 3 companies. We specialize in front-end development, also other things with all things JavaScript, basically. And well, a bit about us. We're a small organization, about 10-15 people. And it's really a nice vibe with us going. So if you ever look for a new front-end challenge, please contact us. And who knows, we will meet.
Thanks. All right, great. And with that, I think we're ready to hear Priyanka. She's an amazing software developer. As I said, she's working at Adesso Stuttgart right now. And she loves being involved in designing and developing modern JavaScript applications. And she's a great speaker. I haven't had the chance yet to see her live in action, but with this, this will happen right now. So Priyanka, good luck, and thank you for joining us. And really excited about what you have to show for us.
First of all, thank you so much for that introduction. And yeah, I hope you all learned something today.
All right.
So I am sharing my screen.
Okay. Take it away.
Okay. You see the presenters mode, right? Okay. So good evening, everyone. And I hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday. And let's just have a little fun today and learn a little about some DevTools tips and tricks, which you might know, you might not know. Let's just have some fun today. Little bit about me. My name is Priyanka. As David said, I work at Adesso as a senior software developer. I like coding a lot. More than coding, I like everything that is about coding. Just searching online, the whole world that is changing in JavaScript. It's just so exciting to learn everything every day, something new. So let's go further. DevTools. I've been a developer since like more than 5 years now. And as a developer, the main part of my day goes as like I read code a lot. I try to understand other people's code. More often than not, I have to go ahead and understand what's happening in some part of the code. And DevTools are a big part of it. DevTools allow me to see what is happening in the code, like put some breakpoints in it, make console logs, check out network requests and everything. So today I have taken out some of those tips and tricks which I have learned over the years and put them in like these 4 sections that you see. Some of them might be like smaller tips which you can immediately add to your workflow. Some of them might take some getting used to add to your workflow. So let's get started. So the first tip is using element classes. As you can see in this video, if you click on certain element, if you select certain element, that is in this case this H1 element, and you go ahead and select the CLS from your elements tab, it shows all the available classes on that particular H1. And you can go ahead and add new classes to it. As you start typing, it gives you this autocomplete, and it takes all the classes that are available in your CSS files, you can add or remove any classes at any point of time. And it's just a very easy way to just, use the classes that you have on your hand and just play around with your whole website. That's how you use element classes. Let's go ahead and see the next tip. The next one is color picker. You might have already seen a color picker that is available beside any color. So every time you see a color, you can click on that color and a small color picker opens. It's not just a simple color picker, it has many, many things in it. For example, if you have given a hex color, you can see a HSL or RGB conversion of it. You can pick any color from the color palette that you have on your website, or any other color that you can give it as an input. Not just that, you can take the color pipette and choose a color from your website and use that color, which makes it so easy. Yeah, more often than not, I need some color which I use it in hex, but then I need it with some opacity. I always use this website called Hex to RGB to make this convergence. When I found out about this feature, it was like the most simple thing. I can just go there and click on this button to convert my color from hex to RGB and vice versa. That's color picker. It's not just color picker. Even shadow has an editor. If you go ahead and see the shadow, there's an X offset, Y offset, and a blah in your shadow that you can edit. You can see that in your UI how it changes the shadow, text shadow, according to the changes in the editor that you make. Text shadow, or shadow in general, was for me a little bit of a topic which I never really understood. What is this 3 pixel is? What is this 4 pixel is? I've read words saying that this is an X offset or Y offset or blur, but never really understood what they did. After looking at this tool, it just clicks to you immediately what happens with the shadow. Like as your cursor moves, you can see that the shadow of the text also moves. I really find this as a great tool, not just to play around with your text shadow, but to understand what really goes in a text shadow. The next one is Inspector Stylesheet. Sometimes when we are editing layouts or doing some changes in our website to get a required view that we want to see, but then we have forgotten where we have made all these changes. To see where exactly we have made these changes, we can go ahead and click the plus button and add the new styles. And whatever the new styles that are being added, that are being written into this Inspector Style Sheet, you can just click on it and move to Inspector Style Sheet and see all the changes all the extra new changes that you made. And then, yeah, you can use those changes to make changes in your code and, yeah, get the layout as you want. That's Inspector Style Sheet for you. You might have heard about active element on a document. At any given point of time, you can just write document.activeElement in your console, and it will give you a current active element on the page. We can do something really interesting with document active element and the Chrome's feature of live expressions. You can go ahead and click on the eye, add a new live expression called document active element, and as you keep on pressing tab or enter, as the active element changes, your live expression changes. And that's the easiest thing you can do to check accessibility issues, or which element is currently being active, or you want to test which element has the correct focus border or not, or you are debugging a website which has removed all the focus borders. That's not a good thing to do according to accessibility, but sometimes some websites are like that. And this is an easy way where you can see which element is active by just adding this as an live expression. You can just check what is active element at any given point of time. And not just looking at active element, at any given point of time, you can monitor any event on your website. in your console, you just give monitor events. For example, in this case, we have a window scroll event, and every time you scroll, there are all these events that are getting triggered. It's like a live expression, you can say, and yeah, you can check what is happening with your scroll, what is the position of the scroll, and whatever information that you want from this event. And in the same way, if you write unmonitor event window scroll, it will stop. It's not just about window. You can just about select any node on the page. You can monitor click events, mouse in, mouse out, whatever the events are offered by the website, offered by browser, and you can use all of them. So these were the features that were related to Elements and Console tab. Before we go any further, does anyone have any questions? Okay, so I will continue further. So the next feature is copy as value. This is a feature that is very handy. One can just go to network tab. Sometimes we get this JSON value back from a request, and it is very hard to see what that value is. So instead of just copying the value from the response, you can right click on certain thing and say copy value, and then you can go back and paste it anywhere in your console or in your editor and just find out what that is. And it is just very easy to debug what the value is, or yeah, it's just very handy to see what exactly the value is. This one is very, very interesting. And we are moving to source tab now. Let's say I have a debugger. I have a breakpoint set in my script to find out that there's some error that is happening. So sometimes what happens is when I'm setting a breakpoint and I'm just going step by step further and checking where there can be an error. And sometimes it can happen that I land into something like Webpack in this case, or some framework code. It might be React, Angular, Vue, anything. But at that point of time, it's none of my interest to look at a framework file or Webpack file, because I know that my bug can only be in my code and not in framework or Webpack code. In this case, we can black box that particular script and tell debugger that don't jump into this file or jump out of it. So just totally ignore this file. To do that, what you can do is at the time you are on the file, you can just right click and say ignore this file, and the debugger will ignore it for you. For example, now as the video plays, you can just right click, add the script to ignore, and then that running the debugger through your points. It will just go through the points, and yeah, it will go through every line of code except that file that you want to black box. Local overrides. This is one of the best features that is there on Chrome. So sometimes when you're editing a code, especially a production code, and you are doing some changes in your DevTools, but as you know, they're not persistent. You refresh your page and those changes are just gone. What can you do to make them persistent? Or let's say you are a freelancer and all you get is your production code, and you can't edit, you can't find out how your fix is working after a refresh. So for that, you can use this amazing feature from Chrome that is called local overrides. For that, you go to Sources tab, and on your left panel, you have this option called Overrides. You click on Overrides, you select the folder. The name can be anything. I have named it as a local override. You go to your page, change anything from your code, and as you can see, even when you reload the page, the changes are persistent. The title of the page has been changed, and yeah, you are working from this local override folders. Your changes are saved in this folder, and you can work without any source code or without anything checking out the code. Local overrides is something really amazing. I have linked a blog post here which explains everything about local overrides step by step. It's not just the title tags. You can go ahead and change images and yeah, just about everything, any text, everything. You can override fonts, add different fonts. Everything is possible using local overrides. Before we go any further, I want to mention certain things in DevTools. If you're an avid user of any IDE, I use VS Code a lot. So there are parallels in shortcuts in DevTools and VS Code. For example, if you use Command-Shift-O, or in case of Windows, Control-Shift-O, it will give you outline of the whole page you're on. For example, here you can see the comp box. It will show you all the list of classes that are there. And if you open Command-Shift-P or Control-Shift-P in case of Windows, it will show you a command palette, just like in VS Code. It has a list of all the commands that is available there. And yeah, you can run any command just using this thing. And just like VS Code, you can use Command P or Control P in case of Windows and open any file, yeah, and make the changes there. This is important to see further. For example, you can you can override any user agent using your DevTools. All you have to do is go to your command palette, type on network conditions. When you type network conditions, there will be this small drawer. These are called drawers in Chrome lingo. They will be opening this network conditions drawer. You can go to this network throttling option, user agent option. Click on any user agent that you want, and these are again persistent. When you refresh the page, as you refresh the page, you can go ahead and check in any request that your user agent has been changed. Here I have chosen the Firefox iPhone user agent, and as you can see, even after the page has been refreshed, the user agent has been changed. But make sure that you change it back to browser default when you want to go ahead and do the usual development, because once you forget, and there will be sometimes certain things happening which will just perplex you and make you think, why is this happening? It's probably happening because yeah, your changes are persistent through this show network conditions. So to understand this, I think one has to understand how browser rendering works. For that, I would like to go to my other slides. Yeah, there are one has to understand how the rendering on the web works. So I would like to explain it a little bit, how rendering on web works. So there are about 5 steps of rendering on the web. You do parsing, there are some style calculations, the browser tries to do layouting of the elements, painting, and composite. Let's break down and look at them one by one. First of all, you give your code to browser, and what happens is browser takes the HTML, takes the CSS, and tries to create this document object model for all the HTML elements and this CSS object model for all the CSS that we have. And after the render tree has been created, browser tries to do this layout calculations based on these two trees, CSS and document object. Browser takes them, puts them together, and tries to find out which element needs how much space, and tries to do the whole layouting. Once browser knows which element has to be placed at which position, it goes ahead and does this painting. It starts painting the pixel. For example, this is my page, and browser has decided now this image will go in this portion of the page, and yeah, the heading goes here and the text. Browser decides that, and that's how paint happens after the layout calculations has been done. After the paint has been happened, the composite happens. In composite, in the end, what happens is browser tries to layer on things. So if you have many things with z-index, this is the step that's been taken care of. So, and every time you click on a page, something changes. Browser either does layout, paint, composite, based on which property has been changed, or just paint composite. To know which properties are based on which thing, we have to know that there's this website called csstriggers.com. One can use this website to see which CSS property changes exactly what. To show that, I want to show you an example. Let's open the DevTools. And I have written this animation where there's just this box that moves from one side to other. To see exactly what browser is painting or what kind of layout shifts are happening in the on my web page, I need to go and open the drawer. That is again Command Shift T, Command Shift P, and I would go and say that you want to go ahead and select Show Layout Shift Regions. As soon as I do that, you see that the browser tries to paint this particular region. Because I'm trying to write this animation using margin left. Let's see how we can make it better. Now, I'm trying, as you might have heard, that writing your animations with transform is always good, but might not have known why it is good. As you can see, there are no layout shifts in this. And using this Chrome feature, we can find out if there are any layout shifts. We can always go ahead and hide the layout boxes using the drawer again. Yeah, so let's go back to this. As we can go and check what happens with the layout, same thing we can go ahead and check with paint. All you have to do is, paint is this third thing that happens in this browser's cycle of things that happens. And yeah, you can just go to browser panel, browser drawer, and open this panel saying that show me where are all the painting happening in the browser. For example, here you can see you're hovering on this card and the card is moving, so the whole so the browser has to paint whole card. Sometimes it can happen that just because you're moving certain card, the whole page is being painted. That's the point. You want to go there and find out why the whole page is being painted when you're moving only one card. So yeah, this is the feature that is from Chrome DevTools that can help you finding out such problems with performance. And as we have seen, same thing with layout shifts. You have to go ahead and open the layout shift panel, and it will show you what kind of shifts are happening in the layout one by one. And I have also linked csstriggers.com website here. You can go ahead and check which property triggers, if it triggers any layout shifts or only the painting step. Let's go ahead and see something that is experimental feature. There's this experimental feature in Chrome 88 that is called CSS Overview. To see any experimental feature, you have to go to this setting and go to the setting and experiments and enable CSS Overview. Once you have enabled that, you have to reload the DevTools. And again, using the Command Shift P command palette, you can open the CSS tools drawer. This gives you like everything about your website, all the colors that are being used, all the media queries that are being used. Not just that, unused declarations, everything that is on your website is being given through this CSS Overview panel. Yeah, one can use this just to see how many colors that are being used, how many, not just the background colors, the text colors. It also shows you what are the contrast issues on your page. Yeah, this can be used just to get an overview of what is happening on your website. If there are any changes that you want to make, if there are any extra colors that are being used, all of this can be navigated through CSS Overview panel. just make sure that you go to experimental, you enable your experimental feature, because this is an experimental feature. Yeah, I think that's about it. Those were all the DevTools tips and tricks that I wanted to share with you. If anyone has any questions, we can address them.
Oh, that was great, Priyanka.
Thank you.
Pretty great stuff. The local overrides, that's like you select the folder. I noticed that where if you make adjustments to anything, it'll like make a copy of that resource and then take it from there.
Exactly. I can again open the website that I had open, and let's open the DevTools. We are in sources. As you have already seen that I have this local overrides, and this is the file. That's the only file that I changed, and you can see that I had changed the title, and the title is the title that I changed it to. I can go ahead and let's say change anything here. Let's go and change something else. Oh, maybe some data, or let's go ahead and change stuff on. Let's change something here. Let's say instead of this. Oh, it's somehow not changing the.
Oh, it's a Shete file maybe.
Probably it's because it's the Svelte file.
Yeah.
I can change something like that. I guess I can change images.
Yeah. Well, and do you have to, can you just like drop stuff in there, like font files and images, and then it kind of, it'll check first if it's in the override folder?
Exactly. As you can see now, I changed this file, that is image.jpg, and I do this upload, and it changes the image back. Actually, it should use that image instead of this, but I guess somewhere I lost the connection. But yeah, you can change the images. You can go ahead and edit everything here, and it should work.
Great. It's, we get a nice refresh of the rendering, the browser rendering as well, which is nice.
Yeah.
What's your take, Iris?
No, I really loved seeing all these little tweaks and features, and I was already immediately like, oh, I did know that something like that was in there, but I never looked it up because then I was like, oh, I will look it up next time. So when you just give a complete overview, I was like, oh, I can do this. Oh, that's useful, and this is useful. And I was like, oh yeah, these browsers, they make all these features, and then I never use them. And I'm like, it's such a shame actually, because yeah, you always use your browser for all kind of stuff. So I'm really glad to have you have this talk and that I could be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys think that this is useful, and I mean, I'm happy even one of these features you could just integrate into your workflow, because I think with DevTools, discoverability is a big problem. There's just so much stuff that is happening in there, and we have no idea. You have to explicitly go and find out what is happening in certain DevTool. For example, I had a couple of tips about performance, but then I thought performance in itself can be a one whole talk. Because then I have to explain how to read a flame chart and every small thing about it. So yeah, I took it out of the whole talk because it made like the talk like an hour long.
It would also have been very interesting. I was
performance. I'm like obsessed with performance DevTools because it's just like for every small window, every small entity, you just get so much information out of it. In DevTools in general, you just have to go ahead and just click everywhere and find out what's happening. and why is this changing? Go make a search, and you will find out. Actually, I'm very, very thankful to many people on the internet who, you follow some people on Twitter and they just post a couple of nuggets here and there. I just kept making notes of stuff that I liked and I wanted to take it in my workflow. And yeah, I have to force myself to do it like 4 or 5 times. But then when I forced myself for a week, then it just became a part of my workflow. So you have to put that couple of weeks in there first.
No, but for example, the black box things, I think I hit that one so many times that you're just annoyed, like, I know I cannot find it here, and then you just skip it. It was like, that's so simple, but it's so ingenious in a way. So the one
But you have to know it's there, right?
Yeah.
And now you do, thanks to Priyanka.
I'm glad you find it helpful.
Yeah, I sure did. So I don't see a whole lot of questions coming in. So
okay. Because the slides had so many videos, I couldn't publish it anywhere yet. But as soon as I can, I will send you I will send you a link, and maybe you can publish it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll add it to the meetup.
Yeah. Sure.
And also with the video, I can put a link in the description. So if you're looking in the future, there's probably a link down there. Yeah, cool. So still no questions. With that, I would like to thank first and foremost Priyanka for the great talk with many wonderful tips. Iris for being here with me again, and all of you for watching and applauding Priyanka with your emojis. So thank you all. Thank you, Priyanka.
Thank you.
And see you all next time. All right. Cool.